Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is SportsIQ with Larry Smith.
We've reached the end of the week again. SportsIQ with Larry Smith, producer Tony, editor Josh, saying hello from everywhere that we are. You know how we say, 3 states, 1 love, baby. Great show coming up here. We'll talk a little WNBA with Lo Yarnall of Yahoo Sports, and then Garrett Podell coming in. He's going to talk a little NFL as well. We've just got, man, it's just, it's another fun week. You know, when we talk about producer Tony and I, and editor Josh too, we're always talking each week about, you know, how the show is going, that kind of thing. We appreciate your comments sending in. By the way, be sure to check us out on our YouTube page. Go to SportsIQLS. Just great growth. We're approaching 300,000 views on those videos. So we're doing something right with that. We certainly appreciate that. Our moments of awe live there, as well as past shows, special segments, etc. So certainly come on and be a part of that, as we are excited here to be doing this now. For about 14 months, I guess, in this iteration of the show. So glad you're here with us. And in case you're just joining us, look, we are Monday through Friday. We come through. Some of our affiliates run us on Saturday, but it is simply, it is just a good conversation. We don't yell at people. We don't criticize, curse. Your grandma can listen to it. Your kids can listen to it. You can listen to it. It's just great conversation. And hopefully you come away after each hour, having been a little smarter, having spent some time with us. And certainly we hope that's the case. And that's what we're getting so far, the reaction. We appreciate that. Let's begin here before we get to Lo. No NBA last night. They'll be playing on Friday night instead. But a big night Thursday night of redemption for the Las Vegas Golden Knights in Anaheim. The Knights polishing off the Ducks 5-1 in Game 6 of their series to move into the Western Conference Finals and face the Avalanche. Remember, this is the team that fired Coach Bruce Cassidy less than a month before the playoffs. Cassidy actually led the Knights to the Stanley Cup back in 2023. In comes John Tortorella. Now, he also has a cup win on his coaching resume back in 03-04 with Tampa. But since that time, he's made stops with 4 other teams, and just once in that time did he have a postseason record over 500. Now, the Knights 15-4-1 since Tortorella replaced cup-winning coach Cassidy on March 29th, surging past the Ducks to claim the Pacific Division title before beating Utah and Anaheim in the first 2 playoff rounds. In these playoffs, Tortorella is now 8-4. So how about Mitch Marner? You know, he was brought over from Toronto in the offseason when the Leafs decided that they needed to, do something to shake things up. Well, the knock on Marner had been that he was great in the regular season, but would underachieve in the postseason. 9 times Marner going into the playoffs with Toronto, and in those years, he never scored more than 3 goals in a postseason. And his best point total was just 14 back in the 2022-2023 season. Well, this postseason, we're happy to report, Marner is putting all those knocks to bed. He's lit the lamp 7 times so far, including just 62 seconds into the game last night, and his 2 assists against the Ducks last night. That raises his assist total to 11 this postseason, giving him 18 points in the playoffs. Do you think Austin Matthews would like to have Mitch back in Toronto? Yeah, I think so. Well, up next is Colorado. During the regular season, the Avalanche winning the season series with 2 wins and 1 overtime loss against Vegas, but the games were all close, with Colorado outscoring Vegas just 12-10. In the Eastern Conference, meanwhile, the Montreal Canadiens scoring the final 4 goals in the contest with Buffalo to quiet a rowdy Buffalo crowd and give Montreal a 6-3 win, and more importantly, a 3-2 series lead as they get ready for Game 6 Saturday night in Montreal. So the good news for Buffalo is that they are 4-1 on the road in these playoffs. Let's talk WNBA as we're now a couple of weeks into the season, or I guess just a week into the season. Feels like it's more. Lo Yarnall joining us once again from Yahoo Sports Lo. Always good to talk with you. Let's start with, I want to start number 1 draft pick, Azzi Fudd, going down to hang out with her buddy. Last year's number 1 draft pick, number 1 overall pick, Paige Bueckers. They're in Dallas. The early returns right now, probably not enough to see how they'll play together.
No, I think that Azzi has been dealing with some injury issues. She missed the Wings home opener with a knee issue, and she was questionable for their game last night against the Lynx, but then ended up playing. And I think with her position of coming off the bench, it's kind of the same conversation that was had about Paige, but almost less, because when Paige joined the Wings, Arike is the star of that team. The Wings
Right.
go where Arike Agumbawale goes. And now Azzi steps into a system where it's not just Arike, it's also Paige Bueckers. And with Paige performing so well and Arike also playing really well, granted it's early, but coming off the bench, she hasn't really found her spot yet. And that's probably due to injury limited practice minutes, I'm assuming. But it has been a shaky start. But I think that it is so early in the season that they still have a long way to go to find out what works for them. And also the Wings have a new head coach in Jose Fernandez. So it's not just you're a rookie in the league. You're joining a team with a brand new head coach with already having star power and you're injured. Like she's got a lot of adversity to overcome, adjustments to be made. Having Paige on the team, her former teammate, is probably a comfort spot in knowing how they work together. But there is a lot of season left and there is time for her to step into her own. But it's I would say it's too soon to tell. But on the flip, when you look at other draft picks, like the number 2 overall, Olivia Miles with the Lynx, she settled in just fine. Granted, completely different system. Cheryl Reeve runs that program like the military. You've got different star power over on the Lynx. So apples and oranges in my opinion. But I do think Azzi will settle in.
Yeah, I know you have said before as we've talked that you love Olivia Miles' game. Look, she was a star at Notre Dame and at TCU, and I think she's got a bright future ahead. But you love what you see so far here in the big leagues.
Yeah, excluding her 15 points last night against the Wings, through their first 2 games, she was averaging 17 points, 7.5 assists, and 4.5 rebounds. So she is a far and away front runner for Rookie of the Year right now. Now it's about sustaining and staying healthy. And I think her situation, which is very different from Azzi's, like we said, she's stepping into a system that has proven to be championship caliber team, championship caliber coaching, Olympic national team caliber coaching. And that system is already set up for her. She just needs to be herself. And also, I think the type of player that Olivia Miles is, that she showed the basketball world at Notre Dame and at TCU, she's a star in her own right. She went to TCU, and people were questioning if leaving Notre Dame and Hannah Hidalgo was going to have any impact on her scoring output, and it didn't. She continued what she did at TCU, ended up the number 2 overall draft pick with herself, and she's really stepped into her own. And I'm excited to see where the rest of her career goes, because when you look at her, she's kind of undersized. But undersized players, that doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. It means you have to be scrappy. And that's who she has been throughout her career that we've seen. And I think she has found the perfect landing spot in the Lynx. And I had to do a double take when I know I watched the draft pick. I covered the draft. I was kind of shocked that Lynx had the number 2 pick. I had to do a double take. And I was like, they're a winning team. And that's typically not what we see in drafts. We see the worst teams get the best picks. So it's great for her, and she's capitalizing on a situation. And for a draft class that she's surrounded with that has struggled to make rosters and also struggled to stand out. If we look at the 2024 draft class, except for Paige, they're also kind of struggling with returns as well. 2025, excuse me. Good for her, because she has made herself like a rare case in finding success so early with a great team with a lot of star players on it.
Right, absolutely. Talking with Lo Yarnall of Yahoo Sports as we discuss the WNBA now that the new season is underway. Lo, so far, I know, again, we're early on, but who's the big surprise team for you so far?
I think it's got to be Chicago Sky. I mean, excuse me, they basically blew up in the offseason. Full roster reset, new head coach under Tyler Marsh. They moved Angel Reese, was the big move, and then they also moved Haley Van Lith. And in their place, they picked up Rickea Jackson from the Sparks, Skylar Diggins from the Storm. Natasha Cloud was floating around as a free agent for a really long time, and I'm glad that she found a team, any team, to be honest. And she found a good spot in the Sky. And Rickea Jackson, who was a really great player with the Sparks, has continued her success through their first 2 games. She's averaging, and again, it's through 2 games, so these averages, but she's averaging 18.5 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists. And Skylar Diggins is also averaging 18 points through the 2 games. So their offense is finding its pace. They're finding their rhythm under a new system with Tyler Marsh, and they've beat good teams in the Valkyries and the Portland Fire. So their wins are high caliber wins. It's not like they're beating bad teams. And it's exciting because in the offseason, they were looking like a mess. And this Chicago Sky does not have the best reputation as an organization within the WNBA because of their locker room situations. And they've had a lot of turmoil with Angel Reese. And I think it was the best. You had said before we started the show that it is looking like it was the best decision for both parties. Angel Reese is finding her own with Atlanta, and Atlanta's 2-0, and the Sky are 2-0. And I'm excited to see where this guy can keep going from here because it wasn't that long ago that they won the WNBA title with Candace Parker. So they're not that far removed from their championship season, but it's a completely different team. And it's really cool to see an organization that has overcome adversity and stepped into their own despite all of the noise.
Yeah, there's probably not a WNBA team I was more excited about their offseason moves than Chicago. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, I didn't feel, you're right, after 2 seasons, Angel Reese was not the player to lead you anywhere, and there's no diss on her. It just wasn't going to happen there. She goes to Atlanta, where now she's held accountable. And then, Chicago, they freed that up. Rickea Jackson, he said, had an outstanding first 2 years. She's just a fantastic player. Really excited about how she's developed. Skylar Diggins, we know what she can do, and just like you mentioned, all the way down. Now, Rickea coming from LA and a team that's dear to your heart, the Sparks. What's up in LA, in Southern California?
Oh man. So I interned with the Sparks back in the COVID season, which was a bummer because it was COVID. So I was supposed to be in person with them at Staples. It's Staples. It's not crypto. It's Staples. So the Sparks are near and dear to my heart. I would say if I root for the league as a whole, but if I'm going to pick a team, it's going to be the Sparks. And the Sparks are so frustrating to me because it's not an issue of star power. They got NECA back. Like, I thought when NECA decided to go back to the Sparks, I was like, okay, here we go. We've got Kelsey Plum, NECA, and Cameron Brink, and De'Erica Hamby. Like, we've got the height, we've got the scoring power, we've got the star power, and they just have not looked good. And the Sparks co-owner, Magic Johnson, after their first 2 losses, basically said that he said that those losses exposed quote unquote weaknesses in terms of us not really knowing each other. And Magic Johnson went on to say that the team is still settling into head coach Lynn Roberts' offensive system, and it looks like it. And when you look at a team like the Sky and the Lynx that have settled into new systems, and the Wings that are still going through the growing pains, I would say that the Sparks are going through chemistry growing pains, where there's a lot of big personalities. There's a lot of players on that team that have been in the league for a while under different systems. I mean, De'Erica with the Aces, and NECA, while she spent the majority of her career with the Sparks, she's coming from the Storm. And it's just finding a way to make it all gel. And their offense has looked really discombobulated. So I'm going to go with what Magic Johnson said, and just said that it's early, and it's early can look 2 ways. You can look like a 2-0 team, or you can look like an 0-2 team. And right now the Sparks are the 0-2. But my biggest concern is honestly Cameron Brink. When you think about the draft class that Cameron Brink went, she could have been the number 1 overall pick if not for Caitlin Clark. And granted, she had her ACL injury and she's coming back. She was coming back from that last year, and there's still mental hurdles with that. But she's seeing reduced minutes coming off the bench. And while her blocks are still there because she's tall, you can't deny that, her caliber of play has really not lived up to her draft expectations and the type of player she was in college. And I'm starting to wonder if, similar to Angel Reese, if LA is not the best place for Cameron Brink, just based off of her career in the W thus far. I don't know the answer. It's still early, but they need to get it figured out fast, because if they keep taking these losses, it's going to be to a point where they're going to find themselves out of the postseason, similar to last year, by a hair.
Yeah. No, you're right. And it's so competitive already. We can see with the 2 expansion teams, how they're coming on. I want to talk about Indiana for a minute. You mentioned Caitlin Clark. Obviously, last year, only 13 games, just injuries upon injuries, could never get untracked, could never get healthy. It seems like that maybe the Fever are struggling at adjusting, bringing her back. What's your take on the return so far for the Fever?
Yeah. So I watching the Fever with Caitlin back so far has kind of begged the question that everyone had when the Fever went on their postseason run last season, which is like,
Yeah.
are they better off without her? Because I feel like they're almost playing with the potential of Caitlin Clark, not the
Yeah.
actual player that's on the court right now. And that
Yeah.
creates not miscommunication, but that creates missed opportunities when you're taking the ball away from players who are really hot. I mean, Kelsey Mitchell, she is the backbone of that team.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
leading. She's tied for the league in average points with Marina Mabry from the Tempo with 26 and a half through 2 games. And Clark has also admitted to mental struggles within her injury return, and her 3-point shot is not landing. But all of that being said, Clark is still averaging 22 points. So I think it's one of those things where Clark needs to figure herself out. And if Clark is not comfortable with herself as a player, thinking about injuries, which is something that she hasn't really dealt with in her career in college, then how are the Fever supposed to trust a player who doesn't really trust herself at this moment in time? And they also, Lexi Hull was a huge defensive presence on the Fever.'s not known for her offense. She's known for being the pest all over the court. And she has basically gone AWOL. She's not seeing any minutes. And granted, they have a couple new auditions. Monique Billings this was a crazy that I had to do a double take. Monique Billings, which was an off-season addition, is seeing more minutes than Aaliyah Boston. So so there's also like the minutes management and roster management. And I think Stephanie White is just like everybody else in the league, figuring out what she has and what works best. And it's a tumultuous time to get settled in, especially when they had a shortened offseason with the CBA agreement. I think we're seeing the adjustment time that should have been handled in training camps and practices. We're now kind of pushing that into the beginning of the league. And the Fever are an example of that adjustment period.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Hey, I want to get one more team in before our time is done. The Golden State Valkyries are a team I'm obsessed with because I think maybe the Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL, kind of a team that kind of started from scratch and all of a sudden they were instantly contenders. I'm just so impressed at how that organization coming out of the Warriors and their success and kind of learning, how to win in the NBA, how they've constructed this franchise from the ground up. And I was there for opening night last year, their first ever game. And it was like a playoff atmosphere. I mean, it reminded me of like the heyday of the Pistons back in the 2000s. It was insane. And what they have done here very quickly, and where not only the most valuable franchise in the league starting out like from scratch, but now on the court in terms of the first expansion team to make the playoffs. And now they're hot start here to year 2 for them.
Yeah, I think Natalie Nakase has done it was funny. After their loss to the Sky, she said maybe she goes a little bit too hard on them in practice, and like maybe that had some impact on the product on the court. But as a former competitor, and I think any competitive athlete can appreciate being pushed, and their resounding success in their first season and continued success through the offseason has probably given them confidence of they are playing with nothing to lose versus other teams that have, seasons past to build off of. They are getting in from the ground up, and they've got an incredible home fan base that supports them. They also have an incredible partner team in the Golden State Warriors that their players are not shy about supporting the women's team. And it's incredible to not just see the Valkyrie success, but also like the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, their home courts are also packed. I mean, the buzzer beater that Portland Fire had to win their first game of the season against the Liberty. I don't know if you saw the Nat Pop or like the video clip of that sound, but the mics peaked out. Like it's not, while the Valkyries are a specific case in the Bay Area with their success, I think it's looking across the league as a whole. And there was a lot of conversations about like, is the league expanding too fast? Like, why are we having this CBA debate go on for so long when we keep adding new teams and the league is taking in money? Are we growing too fast? Is the league growing faster than it can handle? And the Valkyries, the Fire, and the Tempo are a beautiful example of it. The W is a wanted product. Women's basketball is a hot ticket to have. And they are capitalizing on a moment in women's sports that they are getting in at the right time, and they're putting a great product on the floor. And that's a testament to the front office. That's a testament to the coaches and the players for executing in a situation where there could be a lot of pressure, but they're taking it as, we have nothing to lose, so we're going to play our brand of basketball. And because they are new teams, when they pick these other storied players from other teams, like the Tempo with Marina Mabry and Brittany Sykes, they get to kind of step into their own and own a team rather than having to figure out where they fit into a new system. So it's really awesome to see how they've been doing. And the Valkyries, they're top of the West right now. Obviously, it's early. They're tied with the Aces at 2-1, but their continued success, we all want to see them back in the postseason. We want them to be 2 seasons, 2 postseasons. There's a long way to go. They got to stay healthy. Obviously, the Valkyries ran into injury issues last year, and it's early. That's going to be the big question, is who could stay healthy and who can keep this level of play through the season as travel schedules start to pick up. But I'm excited with how the momentum has started, and I hope that it can carry through the remainder of the season, or at least to the All-Star game. Let's get to the All-Star game first.
Yeah, absolutely. But to your point about expansions, I think it's also shrewd. Makes you wonder if there was something kind of behind the scenes in terms of the 1 year there won't be an expansion team. We see the Connecticut franchise move to Houston, and that'll be a big splash. And then the year after that, there'll be one more expansion team added the rest of the decade. So you're right. The argument about this TBA, there was interest here, great interest, and clearly the money being spent is a strong investment, because these franchises are coming in being worth hundreds of millions of dollars from day one. Hey, Lo, always good to talk with you. Have a fantastic weekend, my friend, and hopefully we can catch up soon.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
You got it. All right. Thanks so much. Lo Yarnall joining us from Yahoo Sports. Always great conversation to talk about the W. We talk about a lot of other things, but the main thing is the W. But great to have Lo here on the show. Okay, more Sports IQ coming up after this.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices on airline tickets are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts with over 500 different airlines, plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. The only way to learn more is make a free call. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next trip. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next trip.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome back here to the show. Well, how would you like to be the person who gets to choose the starting pitchers for this year's All-Star game? For all the talk about the hitting in Major League Baseball, 2026, this might be the year of the pitcher. In the National League, Shohei Ohtani has won MVP awards for his prowess in hitting, but he might add a new award this year, a Cy Young. Ohtani, who has been in a batting slump for most of the year, has been on fire on the mound. Just 3-2 in his 7 starts, but his ERA is a minuscule 0.82. Now, the lowest ERA in a season during the modern baseball era is Bob Gibson back in 1968, who was almost unhittable, 1.12 ERA. In all, there are 6 starting pitchers in the National League with an ERA under 2, and 15, yes, 15 with a sub-3 ERA. In the American League, things, well, just as rosy. Yankees rookie star Cam Schlitter is leading the way with a 5-1 record. His ERA 1.35. 3 others in the American League with sub-2 ERAs, and I bet you haven't heard of most of them. Davis Martin of the White Sox, also 5-1, 1.52 ERA. Jose Soriano of the Angels, 6-2, ERA of 1.66. And Nick Martinez of Tampa, 4-1 with an ERA of just 1.70. All told, 13 American League pitchers with an ERA of 3 or less. So there are going to be some interesting conversations being had at water coolers when the all-star teams are announced. And look, we're really just like, about 6 weeks away from that? So it's not like that's, too far off. How about what's happening at the PGA Championship? Don't look now, but maybe the best player currently in the world, Scottie Scheffler, is right there at the top of the leaderboard. And what is shooting for at this week's PGA? How about these facts for you? Scheffler looking for his 5th major title, all before the age of 30. He needs only a British Open title to complete the career Grand Slam. And Scheffler has finished the last 3 seasons as the number 1 player in the world. Golf fans so many times hear the pundits compare him to Tiger Woods and say, gee, that's not fair. Tiger, certainly the greatest player of his era. Scheffler right now, the greatest player of his era. And it is not too soon when you see the numbers that he's putting up, on the course and in wins, to talk about him in the same breath with the Tiger Woods in terms of how he has been so dominant in this stretch of his career. Okay, stay with us. We'll talk a little NFL coming up, and as well as break down the schedule being released and the team that we think really just did not get any favors handed to them by the league. That's all coming up on the Sports IQ.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You got to call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free.
Call 855-227-0286. That's 855-227-0286. Call us right now.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome back here to the show. Let's continue chatting with about the NFL. Producer Tony is with our next guest.
Well, thanks again, Larry. And, NFL season is the season without end these days, right? It just kind of picks right up. After the Super Bowl, you move right into the draft combine, and you just keep going until we actually get camps open up sometime in July. We're lucky enough to have Garrett Podell from CBSSports.com joining us. He's one of their NFL writers, and we're going to talk a little draft. We're going to talk a little schedule. We're just going to talk some NFL here and kind of get caught up on everything that's going on. Garrett, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony. Always happy to talk ball, especially at a time where, it's a very relaxing time of year to talk football and look ahead to what's in store in 2026.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not quite so pressurized when you've got games going on it. And speaking of games, obviously, the big announcement was Thursday with all the schedule coming up, but they released the little bits and pieces. I'm interested really in the Thanksgiving kind of schedule of it, Garrett, expanding that into Wednesday and then Thursday and basically all weekend. I understand the draw of the NFL and I understand wanting to take advantage of it as much as you can. But for college football fans, it's going to be kind of you're going to have to decide which one you're going to want to watch at some point.
Absolutely. And I think the NFL is making a calculated gamble that people are going to decide the NFL. I mean, every single year, NFL games are the most watched television broadcasts every single year. I mean, there's been years where, that number's been in the 90s. I think in 2025, it was in the 80s. So I really just think people are going to choose that. If there's a random game on a Wednesday versus Green Bay Packers at LA Rams, 2 NFC playoff teams in the last few years, you're probably going to choose Rams Packers on a Wednesday night. I mean, it is interesting. You think, is there ever going to be a point where it's oversaturated. But for a holiday week like Thanksgiving, I don't think people really care.
Yeah, I can see that. The other quirk that we saw in the schedule, to me, was going to Australia, and I understand the expansion out to international. Look, Larry and I talked yesterday about probably never really going to see an NFL team, at least not in my lifetime, on another continent. I just don't see how it would work for the players, for the teams, that kind of thing. I'm interested in getting your feelings on the Australia game. It seems to me like you're asking an awful lot of players to go, halfway around the world, across the date line, and totally switching their body clocks for a game and then having to come back and pick up the regular season after that.
I think it only works the way that they're doing it, which is having it the first week of the season when everyone's incredibly well rested and no wear and tear on anybody going into it, and then playing it, ahead of all the other ones on that Thursday, all the other games on that Thursday, gives players over a week to recover when they get back. I do agree with you. It is funny. It's a divisional matchup between the 49ers and Rams, a flight between the two cities that would maybe take a little over an hour otherwise.
Maybe,
but doing this all the way down under, I think it's fun, but I agree. It only works the way they're doing it right now, which is the first week of the season. Otherwise, it kind of seems untenable for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's kind of back up, into talking about the draft that happened at the end of April, and teams are getting into some OTAs now, getting ready for mini camps coming up. What did you see? Was there any big surprise in that draft that you saw coming out of it?
I'd say the biggest surprise to me was the Los Angeles Rams having the 13th overall pick because of a trade with the Atlanta Falcons a year ago, and not taking a win now piece with Matthew Stafford coming off MVP season, NFC runner-up, and they take Ty Simpson, a player who many, including myself, did not necessarily view as a first-round caliber prospect. Take him in the top half of the first round, 13th overall out of Alabama after just 1 year as the starter for the Crimson Tide.
Yep.
I thought was incredibly confusing. I would, I guess, understand it a little bit more if when you watch Ty Simpson, you think, wow, the physical traits, the arm talent, it's crazy. Maybe if you were looking at it and it was kind of like Josh Allen, maybe at Wyoming, where his completion percentage was in the 50s and low 60s, but the arm talent was undeniable. That's not Ty Simpson. He's average to slightly above average, I think, across the board at most things. His biggest knock is processing speed, going through his route progressions, maybe too quickly or not quickly enough on some plays. And that just comes with reps playing. And he only was a 1-year starter in college.
Yep.
And so it kind of makes me think, like, why, if you're the Rams, would you do this when maybe like the highest upside for Ty Simpson in the NFL is someone like Jared Goff, who Sean McVay said, we got to trade this guy away for someone with a little higher arm talent, Matthew Stafford, to really elevate my offense. So it kind of seems like you're taking a big swing for a player that long-term could evolve to a player that Sean McVay felt couldn't lift his playbook to the highest level.
Yeah, and what surprised me about it was, I get it that everybody felt Simpson might be the second quarterback off the board, but I almost think the Rams could have done what some other teams did and made some trade downs to, if that was your guy, and maybe pick up some other draft capital, because you're talking about a Rams team that was, short of draft capital and has been for the last few years.
I thought that, they definitely could have waited that out to maybe trade. There was talk of people trading into the end of the first round to get Ty Simpson. To take him in 13, I just thought was malpractice, especially when, I think you look at their roster construction. Puka Nakua's outstanding young player. Devontae Adams is their number 2 wide receiver, but he's 33 years old.
Yeah.
And even though he led the NFL in touchdown catches last year, he didn't look, he looked a step slower than his prime salad days with the Green Bay Packers and Las Vegas Raiders. So Mekhi Lemon sitting right there, someone who went to USC and won the Biletnikoff Trophy, is the best wide receiver in college football. Yeah. That just, to me, made too much sense, and I thought it was a slam dunk for the Rams to take, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
I'd say that far and away is a big surprise. Jeremiah Love, to me, also third overall to the Arizona Cardinals. I thought he'd go in the top 10, but you take him at third overall, and that's those contracts, they're fully guaranteed. It's $53 million. That makes him the running back with the highest contract guaranteed money in the entire NFL. Yeah. And he's never taken an NFL snap. And so I just don't think from a value perspective, we're talking about with the Rams, should they have traded down? If Jeremiah Love really was their guy, they would have been made a lot of sense for them to maybe trade back 2-3 spots and take Love. Just a couple areas where, I mean, Jeremiah Love, he's a phenomenal player. Nothing against the player. That's just more positional value, roster construction, nitpick for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think Jeremiah Love is going to be an outstanding player in the NFL. Of course, our listeners all know I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I'm a little biased, but I kind of feel that way. But yeah, if he's your guy, that's what you're sold on, you probably could have gotten him at 6 or 7 as well and traded down for draft capital, because I think in this draft, Garrett, to me, draft capital was key because there were so many places down the line to find value and bodies that can play, maybe start, but at least be key reserves. It had a very depth kind of draft to it without star power at the top, but a lot of depth that was drawn out through the second and third rounds. Am I correct?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment for sure, Tony. Yeah, this wasn't the draft class stocked with blue chippers at the top. A lot of people think that's perhaps 2027, next year's draft class. But I think, yeah, looking down, up and down the board, you certainly could have seen that. I feel like through the first 3 rounds of the draft, there was a lot of value in guys who could contribute in depth roles or potentially starting roles down the line. But to me, yeah, after entering day 3, so begin with the 4th round on, anyone in this draft picking rounds 4 through 7, I don't think there was a really wide gap there in terms of the skill level, potential level. So yeah, to trade down and to hoard picks on the first 2 days of the 2026 draft would have, I think, made plenty of sense here, no doubt.
Yeah, and that's, I thought the Bills did a smart thing by trying to trade down and still wound up, from all the things they said, with the player that they were looking for in TJ Parker, and whether the other guys work out that they acquired, who knows? But I think trading out of that first round was probably the best thing that they could have hoped to accomplish.
I agree with that. The one caveat there is if you have a first round pick, you have an extra year of control over a player with the 5th year option. True. So maybe you try and trade to 32 or whatever that may be. I know the Seahawks, they wanted to have first round pick. They end up getting the other Notre Dame running back, Price, with that selection. So yeah, but I think they did a good job being able to have 2 second round picks and 3 4th round picks. Because even though those were day 3 picks, it was the first round of day 3. And I really loved both Skylar Bell, wide receiver out of UConn, little older prospect, but I thought was still one of the better wide receiver prospects outside of the top talent at the position in this draft. And then Caleb Elam-Zor out of TCU, inside linebacker, who's pretty good pass rusher, especially blitzing. I thought was great value for them, like you said, through the first 4 rounds of the draft.
Everybody really has been spending a lot of time making fun of the Jets over the last few years. It's the place where careers go to die, as my grandson likes to tell me. What did you think of their draft? They had a number of picks. They have a ton of holes to fill. Did they do a decent job? Did Jets fans have any hope of at least being better this year than they were last year?
I thought Kenyon Sadiq was a great prospect, the tight end. They took 16th overall to Oregon. He led all of tight ends in college football and receiving touchdowns in 2025. I thought that was a little rich, but if you just cover up where guys were chosen, I thought David Bailey at number 2 overall made a lot of sense. He's a plug-and-play starter, led the nation in sacks at Texas Tech a year ago. And just cover up the names of their first 4 picks. David Bailey, Kenyon Sadiq, wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. They got 30th overall at Indiana. And then Indiana cornerback D'Angelo Pons at the 18th pick in the 2nd round. I think those are great first 4 picks. Now, Could they have maybe gotten a higher caliber receiver? Mekhi Lemon was still on the board at 16 at that spot. Maybe. I maybe would have gone Lemon there, but they ended up getting Cooper. So I don't think you can really knock them. Those first 4 picks are pretty strong. They did a really good job of reinforcing their defense in free agency this offseason. I really like getting Nashawn Wright, who had a career year on a bargain bin deal. Minka Fitzpatrick is kind of an adult in the room in their secondary. But I still think, just when you look at the quarterback room for them, Geno Smith, who helped the Raiders have the first overall pick this past year by being the most sacked and most intercepted quarterback in football. He's projected to be the starter. Cade Klubnik in the 4th round. Maybe he gets a couple starts here in his backup. I don't really see a really high ceiling for him, just kind of based on his size and traits.
Yeah.
So, no, I think the Jets are in a great position to be exactly where they were, just based on the quarterback position that they were in this year's draft, which is a prime position to take a quarterback high, but next year's draft will have a little more depth at the top at that position than this year.
Absolutely. We've got about 2 minutes left here, Garrett. Is there one team that you feel really kind of flunked in this year's draft class based on who they took and how they worked it out? Anybody that, maybe has you scratching your head going, what were these guys thinking?
I would have to say the San Francisco 49ers. They basically created a whole discourse in football, which is like the thought of a consensus draft board and where most people think the value is, because obviously every scouting department, based on their team needs, the traits they value, their draft board is going to all look a little different. But they took players just way higher than a lot of people thought they'd go. I mean, Kalen Black, the running back out of Indiana, they took him in the 3rd round. He for a lot of people was a day 3 pick. Deshaun Stribling, they took the first pick of the 2nd round. A lot of people thought that was a little rich. I like the Romello Height edge rusher pick for them in the 3rd round. He was Dave Bailey's running mate at Texas Tech. But yeah, to me, their draft was probably the most confusing for sure. Yeah. Which is weird because they've been such a consistently strong team despite having draft classes like this over the last few years. But that's because they have such a great veteran nucleus. But that group's getting a little older. So it will be interesting to see if their drafting comes back to bite them here in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Well, Garrett Podell, thank you so much for taking some time and joining us. Really appreciate it. I'm sure we're going to call on you again as the season gets closer, maybe when we get closer to camps and things really firing up. But just really appreciate your time. Garrett is with CBSSports.com. Check him out online. Get some great information and follow him along throughout the season. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, Tony.
We're going to take a quick time out here on the SportsIQ, but we will be back with more.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage is only $75 per month, level for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can buy $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110. Guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rates for 20 years. And if you're a smoker, we have great rates for you as well. At the Term Lifeline, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. So if you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call right now for a free quote.
Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes are based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting exam required to qualify.
Call 855-826-7932. 855-826-7932. That's 855-826-7932.
Great conversation there, and producer Tony still with us. And Tony, on Thursday, the NFL schedules we talked about being released for the upcoming 2026 season. You know I'm a lifelong Bear fan. Okay, my friend, tell me their schedule is not as bad as I think it is.
No, it is as bad as you think it is. The league must not be Bears fans. There must not be a single Bear fan in the entire league office. I mean, a winning percentage of .550 for the teams that you're going to face. Now, hopefully some of those teams won't be as good as they were last year, but even just taking the first 3 weeks of the season, You got to go to Carolina. They're a division winner last year. You got to play the Vikings. They came on strong at the end of last year. And look, division games are never a joke. They're always tough. Then you're home for the Eagles, and you finally get a break in week 4 when you get to be home for the Bears. Now, if I'm a Bears fan and I say, okay, look, if we can get through that 2-2, we're okay. If we can get through it 3-1, we're great. Because then after that, the Packers come up next in Green Bay. Then you've got the Falcons in Atlanta before you come home for the Patriots, Super Bowl team. Oh, and then just so in case you weren't having any fun there, let's go out to Seattle and play the Seahawks, the other Super Bowl team, before coming back for the Bucks. You still haven't faced the Lions yet. The back half, you're going to have to face the Lions twice. You got to go to Buffalo, right?
Ugh.
And then finish up at Minnesota on the last day of the season. So, yeah, there's not too many gimmies in that schedule. And like I said, hopefully some of these teams aren't quite as good as we think they're going to be. But if they play up to last year's capabilities, could be an interesting year in Chicago. I mean, it's one of those teams that may be just as good, but take a step back in the standings.
Yeah. The way you look at it, who do you think maybe got a break? Is there any team that you feel like got a break in the scheduling?
I think a couple of teams may have gotten a little bit of a break in the scheduling prowess. When you look at it, I like the Bengals schedule. Their teams only win at a 450 clip, right? Coming in. So look, if Burrow's back and healthy, you've helped out the defensive line a little bit. In that team, you got Dexter Lawrence over from the Giants. If the defense can be better, you may have given Joe Burrow a way to help himself out. And if you're a Lions fan, hoping last year was the anomaly that you haven't peaked and are on the way back down. But if it wasn't, the Lions schedule doesn't shape up too poorly. Their winning percentage was only 457, and they have a chance to really rebound. And I think the holiday games are going to be really interesting this year.
Yeah. How about, Mahomes and Allen? Thanksgiving, we talked yesterday about, that they're just really NFL taking over, not just Thanksgiving, but the entire Thanksgiving weekend from Wednesday through Monday. And Thanksgiving night, we've got the Chiefs and Bills playing. And so that big rivalry with Mahomes and Josh Allen, the two great quarterbacks.
Yeah, and the league obviously seems to, or the league TV partners, because they had a hand in some of this. They had a hand in all of this, right?
Yeah.
So they've got Mahomes and Allen on Thanksgiving, and then in case that isn't enough, when you get to Christmas Day, you've got a triple header with the Bills playing Denver. That's a great matchup. The Rams playing the Seahawks, tremendous divisional matchup, and the Packers and the Bears, another wonderful. That's the best rivalry in the NFL at this point. So, if you're a holiday guy and you like watching football on the holidays, you're loaded for bear this year.
Yeah. And at the very beginning, they're going to catch us with a rematch of the Super Bowl, Seahawks and Patriots.
Yeah, right off the bat, that Thursday night game, and Dallas and the Eagles in the first Monday night game of the week. You've got a lot of stuff to really look at down at this schedule. Kind of shocked. I had forgotten that the last games of the regular season are going to be on January 10th. Look, when I was growing up, January 10th was Super Bowl time.
Right.
And now it's just the end of the season. And the Super Bowl taking place on Valentine's Day, February 14th. I want to see how many divorce papers get filed on February 15th next year.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Not exactly a night for romance, if you will. Yeah, you're exactly right. But, this is where we've seen the NFL and the TV partners wanting to get there, wanting to push the Super Bowl into February to take advantage of the ratings period. February in TV land is one of the big 3 months where they really watch the audiences and kind of set their ad rates. And so they've succeeded at that. They've got, I'm just waiting for them to get into the late February to be able to get the conference championship games into February as well. I mean, and I think the way it works, because as that starts in late January, they may already have that where that does fall. I think it's like the last Thursday of January is when that period starts.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I think they're already there, the conference championships, and then 2 weeks later coming in. So, okay.
Yep.
The NFL, we talk about them year round. We can't help ourselves. Tony, good stuff. All right, our moment of awe is up next.
I get a lot of calls from people across the country who are suffering from the affliction of IRS tax debt, and that's because I have a remedy. Hi, I'm the tax doctor, and if you're having any of these tax issues, call me right now. My team specializes in helping people over the age of 50 solve their tax problems, and the bigger your tax problem is, the more money you can save. If you owe the IRS money, or you're about to owe the IRS money, or even if you need to file years of unfiled returns, call us right now. Our friendly, highly trained representatives are waiting right now to take your call. Over the years, we've helped thousands of people just like you stop the tax liens, wage garnishments, and harassing phone calls. You don't need to send the IRS a big fat check. We can negotiate a lower amount. That's what we guarantee for you. So call us right now. Call 833-789-3068.
Today's moment of awe goes out to a senior in California by the name of Lamont Newell. Now, his family struggled with homelessness before they found a home in LA's South Park. That's where Newell learned how to code as a child. Earlier this month, he accepted a scholarship to Columbia University in New York to study industrial engineering. Now, Newell credits basketball. He was a member of his local high school team, helping him achieve his goals. And what goals he achieved. His 4.4 GPA helped him earn valedictorian honors at his high school. In addition to accepting a scholarship from Columbia, Lamont was offered by Dartmouth, Notre Dame, and others, but he chose Columbia. He said he always has wanted to see different parts of the world, and that when he is done with school, he wants to start an institution where he can teach Black kids how to work in STEM. Remember the name? Lamont Newell. Truly impressive, and he gets today's moment of awe. Thanks to our guest stopping by, and thanks to you as well. Make this a fantastic weekend. We'll talk to you Monday on the Sports IQ. I'm Larry Smith.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at SportsIQ LS. We'll see you next time.